Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we're rolling. It is Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. Couple weeks off, but we're back in the saddle, and ready to talk about some football. So this is episode 188 of Gridiron Grinder, and we're going to kick things off with Name That Stadium like we always do. Then we're going to cover the news, kind of from the past couple weeks. James, I'll be relying on you a little bit since I was out of the country. And then after that, we'll do our round one recap of the NFL draft. I know it's like ages ago, but that's just kind of how the way things work this time of year for us. And then we'll close things off with our question of the week. And so, with all that being said, how's it going there tonight, James?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just, probably going to fumble it around a little bit tonight, getting back into the swing of things. But, I'm ready, man. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks.
That's cool. Yeah, lucky you got to travel. I'm stuck here at home working my ass off.
Oh, you got travel coming up, don't you?
Yeah, but it's work travel.
Work,
It's not
work
fun.
travel. Yeah. I hear you, man. No, I mean, hey, I'm super grateful. I got to go to Ireland and Portugal. Great experience. Don't know if I'll ever get to do it again, but made the most of it. And sometimes you just got to strike while the iron's hot, my man.
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't blame you for it. I was fucking with you.
Yeah, just a little jealousy. No big deal. Well, hey, man, when you're ready, why don't you do some name that stadium for us?
All right. Took 2 weeks off and still no guessers on this for last week, even though it was fucking obvious as fuck from last time. This portion show, I'm traveling around different stadiums that host NFL games. There's generally something that ties into why I chose that stadium. Besides 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I guess it was, where I chose the Lions because hey, it was fucking Ford Field, and I go there every chance I fucking can. So
Yeah, and the draft was in Detroit.
yes, exactly.
Pretty relevant.
So
Pretty relevant.
first person guesses right gets an extra special shout out. We'll bookmark it. I can tell you that I'm at where the Jets play this week. If you want to guess, it's a freebie for you. Just fucking pay attention to what I'm saying. Yes, I did say MetLife Stadium, and
Yeah.
it's for the Jets. As you can see, the Jets logo behind me. But
Jets.
yes, so if nobody guesses this week, I don't know. I give up.
All right. Well, yeah, and you can save the inspiration for the Jets next week. How about that? So you don't give it all out today.
Oh, it'll be obvious when we talk.
Okay. All right. That sounds good to me. Well, hey, man, let's do our recap of the past week, or a couple weeks rather. And, James, before the show, you mentioned Jared Goff got an extension with the
Mm-hmm.
Lions. Do you have those details in front of you, man?
I just I happened to see the no trade clause, and I had it, and it looks like I closed the site. So just give me 1 second. I
Okay.
can't believe they gave him a no trade clause. That kind of annoys me, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, so I'm seeing it was a 4-year, 212 million extension.
yeah, it was like
Um,
172 guaranteed.
okay, yeah, I was skimming for that. Oh yeah, yeah, 170 guaranteed. 53 million a year is the average. It's pretty big. But you know, I think a lot of people are bashing the Lions for it, but I mean, Goff's been good for this team, man, and um, we're bringing back Ben Johnson at offensive coordinator. We extended Penny Sewell. We extended Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it's good keeping this core together. I mean, we just had a heck of a year. It'd be nice to see him run it back and maybe take it to the next level. So I get it; it's a lot for Goff, but until we get into a position where we're in like salary cap hell, I'm not going to worry about it. And I don't think we're there just yet.
So over the cap hasn't updated. I just saw the no trade clause somewhere else. Let me see. 73 million guaranteed was the. I'm sorry, a $73 million signing bonus.
Okay.
Blah 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 blah. 4-year, $212 million extension. Was that put him under contract to like 2032?
Not quite, but yeah, I guess the question we always want to know is, are there void years?
Yeah. So I tried to look it up, and so over the cap doesn't have.
Okay, that's where you would find the void years. I got you.
Yeah, that's where I find it, and it's so they haven't updated. Okay, so it is. So it's 113. It was so they did update it. It's just not reflected correctly. So it puts him under contract to 2028.
Okay,
His age 34 season. He has an average of $53 million per year average value, and it was a $78 million signing bonus. There's in 20 this year and in 2028, there's roster bonuses of 5 million this year and 7 million in 2028. He
okay,
also has a workout bonus in 2028. Um, it looks like it's weighted for the for the 2026 season. So I'm trying to figure out. He was going into the last year, yeah. So 4 years.
yeah,
So the first year of the contract, his base salary is 18. It's 18, then 55, then 40, then 39.
okay,
But his yeah, and then his cap value kind of fluctuates a cap hit because in 2028 it's like a $62 million cap hit, and next year it's a $32 million, and then 70, and then 55. So it kind of fluctuates a little bit. There is a potential out after 2026.
okay. I was thinking with all that guaranteed money, it'd probably be at the like after 27, but okay,
So so they could say after 26. Yeah. So after 2026, they could save 25 million against the cap if they were to cut him before or trade him or whatever.
gotcha.
After 2027, it would be 48 million.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
going to the last year, they could save 48 million, but the out really is after the 26 season, because that's like a 50% savings on from his cap value.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, one more done for the Lions, man. Now it's, we wait a little while and work on Aiden Hutchinson next, I think. So, we got some time
Yeah.
for him.
So this off season, the Lions, and this is a ridiculous stat, they just basically 3 contract extensions,
Yeah.
$444 million.
Yeah, they spent some big money, man. They like these guys that they've drafted.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the exception of Goff, they traded for him. I was kind of surprised because I thought when we drafted Hendon Hooker, we were looking to move off Goff
Yeah,
after
same here. Yeah,
after
I
this
figured,
year.
yeah. Yeah, I figured that was a way of throwing a dart to keep a quarterback on a rookie contract and
Hmm.
keep that like, hypothetical Super Bowl window open. Um, but we're not going that road, so that's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's played decently well, especially last year with
Yeah.
everything he did. Like he, I'm not saying I'm not saying that I wanted to get rid of him. I'm just saying that it seems like a pretty hefty contract to have the second highest paid quarterback in the league.
Oh, I agree. And, that'll change, with every new quarterback deal, right? And so it'll slowly ratchet down in comparison. But, to me, I think the big thing is it just means Brad Holmes has got to keep hitting on these draft picks
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's the only way we're going to be saving money with the cap is, he's locking down his core, but he's got to keep bringing in cheap, effective replacements via the draft, man.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I just it's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. Well, and historically we've been hamstrung by big quarterback contracts. So, I think the muscle memory, there's a little bit of like PTSD there of, oh man, this is just going to burn us because historically it always has, right? So,
Well,
yeah.
we haven't. I'm trying to think of a real decent quarterback we've had like before Goff, and to give
Oh, I
him
know.
all that money, it's just, hey,
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's keep skimming some news here. I did see the Giants have a new uniform. They're calling it their Century Red Throwback uniform to
dude, they look
commemorate their
fucking
100th
ugly as
season.
hell.
Yeah, I was gonna
Uh,
say, dude, I'm not digging it at all, man. I
no,
don't know. It's
no,
too much
they
red,
are
dude.
they are ugly as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I I mean, it looks they look like a fucking middle school that. I mean, they're worse than freaking Oregon football uniforms, and Oregon's pretty bad. Like those hurt my eyes when I turn them on and they're wearing the bright yellow or bright
Oh
highlighter
man, see, I like some of the
highlight.
Oregon ones, man. I think they're cool, but yeah, I could see how it could get you.
Yeah, the highlighter green, especially,
Okay.
ugh, that's bad. But no, like some of the Oregon ones are cool, but like it reminds me of like the highlighter green. I look at it and it's like, oh, why would you want to wear that? And then the helmets are ridiculous too. I was just
Oh
like,
yeah. Well, college football, man, it's a ton of crazy uniforms now.
yeah.
So, and maybe the NFL's just gonna slowly drift that way too. All right, so you know, keeping it going here, James. This is obviously a conversation for another day, but just to hit on it real quick, the schedule was released on Wednesday, I believe, for the
The thing
season.
I forgot about Giants uniforms
Yeah.
was why the fuck do they have like the Michigan logo on their
Oh
helmet?
yeah. No, I was wondering if that's just like a super old helmet that they had or what, because yeah, it's like the U of M, whatever you call that style. I know there's a name for it.
Yeah. So so I I there's a picture here that kind of shows it like back in the olden days when they wore the leather helmets.
Okay.
Like the Giants had one where it was blue and then had like some red like that sewn into it, and that's kind of what it emulates. But it's still like ugly as fuck.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, my man.
All right. So, anyways, back to the schedule release. Yeah, we'll probably hit more of this in a later show. They did a couple things that they did with like the international games with the Jaguars staying in London for two
Okay.
weeks. Um, and like the Jets, like seriously, fucking 7 of the Jets' first 11 games are standalone games, either prime time or in London.
Say that again. They're what?
7 of their first 11 games are either prime time or in London, so they're in isolation. There's
Really?
no other games competing with it.
Huh. Okay.
So they play like week 5 in London, and then um, let me pull it. I saw this and I don't have it up. So they play, so they open the season on Monday Night Football. Then their normal CBS normal time slot, second week. Then they're on Thursday Night Football. Then their normal time slot. Then they're in London, and they come back from London. Their next game's on Sunday night. I'm sorry, Monday night. Then the following week they're on Sunday night. Then they have a normal time slot. Then they're on Thursday night.
So is this the NFL pumping them up because it's like the Rodgers maybe last hurrah, and
Yeah, it is.
they're expecting them to make a run?
It is. There was an article I read or I saw about it that basically the NFL admitted that basically that fact. Let me see if I
Okay.
can. Um, so the NFL said the Mike North, who's the vice president of broadcasting, said, yes, it's an awful lot of primetime games early in the season, but obviously I feel like Jets kind of owe us one.
Oh, all right.
When we had the conversation a year ago, we were all of us all in on the Jets, and for that guy to last 4 plays was disheartening for many of us. I feel like we could run it back, and certainly our broadcast partners, when they came to us early in the process talking about what storylines they want to focus on early in the season, obviously Aaron Rodgers' return was a key one for everybody.
Okay. Well, I guess time will tell, but
And then he later on said, hopefully he stays healthy
yeah.
and hopefully they're relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise they effed it up real good.
Yeah, 2 years in a row because last year they had
Oh yeah.
six primetime games throughout the season, and now they have
Yeah.
6 primetime games in their first 11, and 7 of their first 11 are in isolation because of the London games.
Yeah.
So, and then probably more. I think the last week, if they're relevant, could theoretically be another isolation game because they're playing Miami last game of the season.
Okay.
And then the Bears. The Bears don't play an NFC North opponent until week 11.
Wow, that's late in the year, man.
Yeah, it's super fucking late.
Yeah. Well, and I think I did hear that they had one of the most favorable schedules, right? And so
Oh yeah,
if they're rolling by then, it's like they could control their own destiny hypothetically with the NFC North. And so yeah, that one sounds a little fishy to me, but
oh it's super fucking fishy. Like when you look at their schedule. So 4 of their first 6 games are against AFC South opponents.
yeah, shittiest of the shitty.
In between the other 2 games of those 6 games are home versus the Rams and home versus Carolina.
Yeah. They're giving Caleb Williams a nice little powder puff start to his NFL career.
Then they have the bye week. Then they play at Washington, at Arizona, versus New England.
Yeah, the 2 best road games you could have coming off a bye. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
exactly. And
Oh,
then and then they play Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, at Green Bay.
well, honestly, I kind of hope that they have a little run to start the year, and then the NFC North just frickin' skull fucks them down to reality, and
Yeah,
it's just like forget you guys, man. The NFL doing you favor? I don't think so.
yeah. It was yeah. It's just like huge fucking favor and to them, and then like there's little other quirks that we'll get into. I'll get 1 or 2 more. Um, so Cowboys and Giants, who obviously play twice a year, it's the first time since I'm sorry, it's the second time since 1926 that 2 teams have played each other. The two teams that play each other twice a year play both games on Thursday night or on Thursday.
Okay.
So it was the Lions last year with Green Bay, and then you have to go back to 1926 for Chicago versus Chicago when the Cardinals were in Chicago.
Okay.
Wait a minute, is it both the Bears and the Steelers have that? Hold on, I gotta look at the Steelers schedule.
Sure. Yeah,
and
check
then
it out, man.
So I have in my note that the Bears and the Steelers don't play divisional opponents until week 11. Yeah, it's true.
It's freaky, man. It's freaky stuff going on.
They're giving these rookie quarterbacks fucking easy ass fucking beginnings to their season. Oh my god, their careers. So Pittsburgh's schedule: at Atlanta, at Denver, against the Chargers, at Indianapolis versus Dallas, at the Raiders, home against the Jets, home against the Giants, bye week at Washington. And then they fucking skull fuck them at the end of the season.
At the end of the year, yeah.
Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati.
Yeah, so they're giving them plenty of time to get their shit together. And then it's like, okay, if you're rolling and you're good, you can maybe, persevere through the end. If not, it's going to be a hard reality.
Yeah. So it's just.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's.
I'll
Yeah.
go a deeper dive in the schedule, but I will say the one good point about the schedule is the team to watch out for this year is the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
Because they were given 0 primetime games.
They don't deserve to have any.
They have a standalone game when they play in Germany in week 10.
Okay.
But they don't have any primetime games. They don't deserve any, but you know what's going to happen is they're going to have a fucking killer-ass season.
Oh, I doubt that. Come on.
Hey, last time I can remember, somebody that wasn't given any primetime games, that team almost made the playoffs.
I'm getting some water, by the way. Keep talking, but
Yeah.
Until Carolina shows any signs of life, man, I can't get behind them at all.
No, I know. I'm just.
It's hard to front run on a team that was that ugly.
Oh, it's really hard to front run on a team that was that ugly. I'm just saying that the last time I remember a team getting 0 primetime games, that team almost made the playoffs in 2022.
Okay. All right.
They finished the season 3-6, 8-2.
Okay.
Started the season 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 1-6, but finished the season 8-2. You should know who I'm talking about.
What is that? Was that the Lions?
Yeah.
Okay.
2022.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to compare Carolina to Detroit.
There's a lot of comparisons there.
Don't do it, dude. Don't do it.
I'm sorry. I have one more point about that. I just want to look and see what Carolina's record was last year. They only had 2 wins. Okay, good. because the Lions were coming off a 3-14-1 season. So Carolina only had 2 wins. So there's where the comparisons go to die.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it going here, man. Let's keep it going. So Jacksonville, James, I heard they are going to be building a new stadium, 1.4 billion.
I missed
which
that. So
yeah, which I guess settles the debate of whether they're going to move to London or somewhere else. Because if they're building a new stadium, it looks like they're committing to Jacksonville for the next 30 years.
so I don't really think it. Like I joked about Jacksonville moving to London, but rumor was when Khan bought the Jaguars, part of the sales contract was he had to keep the team in Jacksonville.
Okay. Yeah, because I figured, if there was a team to relocate, it would be them.
Yeah, like I joked I was I joked about it, and we always joked about it, but I highly doubted that they were looking to move to London because it was severely rumored, and there I think there was a term that he had to keep guaranteed to keep the team in Jacksonville for that term because the guy that sold them was from Jacksonville, obviously started the team in Jacksonville and wanted to keep the team there.
Okay.
So part of the approval or part of the sales contract was rumored to have that clause in it, where if he relocated the team from Jacksonville, that it was it not void the contract, but he would owe X amount of additional money that was really ridiculous amount.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, so I'm not surprised about them getting a new stadium, but they're still going to play 2 games a year in London anyways. So
Yeah. Uh, keep that stadium nice and fresh.
hmm exactly, and they don't play many playoff games down there anyways.
No. All right. So, James, in other news, I did see that the Buccaneers extended Antoine Winfield Jr.
hmm
I believe they're making him the highest paid safety with a 4-year, $84.1 million contract. Looks like 45 million of that's guaranteed. This dude, man, he deserves it. He looks like the best safety we've seen in a while.
hmm Yeah, he's really fucking good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So good for him. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of skimming NFL.com here. Is there any other news hitting you from these past couple weeks, man? I've been out of it for a little while here.
So a couple things. One, and it was really weird because it was rumored that the Lions had signed a kicker from the UFL, but they couldn't actually sign him because of the United Football League, which was the USFL and XFL merger, um, merged together to form the UFL. They couldn't actually sign him because something to do with his contract in the UFL prohibits him from negotiating with an NFL team
Okay.
or something like that. Like it's something weird. Like I didn't because we weren't doing shows. I didn't dive into it too much, but I thought that was weird that that would be part of a spring league contract that you can't negotiate with the NFL team.
Yeah, maybe that's their way of trying to preserve, um, their league and having some consistency with players and, you know, commitments with their players. Um, it does seem strange though, because all those guys want to go to the NFL level if they can get the chance.
Yeah, so it was he plays for the Michigan Panthers, Jake Bates. And it's like so he had 260 plus yard field goals in a game. And according to the Free Press, some teams reach out to him, but it's against the NFL bylaws that blah blah blah. They're they're apparently allowed to NFL teams. They're not okay. So they're allowed to discuss with the UFL team about potential NFL prospects, but they're not allowed to contact the players or their agents directly until after their season has finished.
Okay, I got you.
That's what it was. But like I had read like something like the Lions were trying to sign him, but then it was like quickly dispelled that they can't even contact him.
Gotcha. Yeah, and the
Uh,
Lions, hey, I'd like to see them have some other options at kicker, obviously, but you know, however they do it, they got to figure something out.
yeah. Um, so Michael Brockers, former defensive lineman for the Rams and then the Lions, who's apparently been out of the NFL. He's been out of the NFL for a year, 2 years. A year. Okay, so he was released last year from the
Okay.
Lions, but he was part of he played a lot alongside Aaron Donald, and he retired officially from the NFL this week. He played for the Lions for a season or two.
Gotcha. Okay. Time to
Yeah.
hang them up.
Yeah, I'm trying to see because like a lot of it's draft shit, which
Yeah, we'll cover some of that in the coming weeks here, but yeah, it's hard. It's a lot to look through. We've never had multiple weeks off in a row like this.
oh back Odell Beckham Jr. Signed with the Dolphins.
Yeah, he's a douchebag, but okay.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you're just reporting it, James.
I'm just saying. I'm just going through. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen the Tom Brady roast?
So I saw about the first 20-ish, 25 minutes of it. It's like 2.5 or 3 hours long, so I've got plenty to finish. From what I saw, there was a lot of bashing about his ex-wife. Um, you know, I don't know. Where are you going with it?
No, I just was wondering if you've seen it. I haven't seen it. I just saw this article where he said he wouldn't do that again.
Yeah, no shit.
Um,
Yeah, just get made fun of for 2.5, 3 hours. That's a great choice.
yeah, I'm looking. I it's on my list. I just haven't had time to see it, so I was wondering if you saw it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but you know, the thing is, it's like really crude. It's not like ha ha funny funny. It's like a lot of the jokes are meant to be mean jokes, and so
Hmm.
it's not normally like my kind of humor. It's like okay, we're just being nasty. So
Uh, that's about it. I'm not seeing. I'm trying to. Xavier Worthy, rookie wide receiver for
yeah,
the
the
Chiefs.
fastest 40 guy.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Chiefs. He had his car stolen from his apartment in Kansas City,
Oh well, that sucks.
and I haven't read it. I saw it. I just like of course Kansas City. Um, I guess the reporting's not very much there, so it's just his car was stolen. But to end on a good note, end the
Yes.
news on a good note. Houston Texans defensive end uh, Dylan Horton, who was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma,
Ooh.
announced on Instagram that he finished his cancer treatment. So he was diagnosed. So he stepped away from the Texans on November 22nd this past year, I guess, citing a personal matter. It was Hodgkin's lymphoma. Anyways, he issued a statement in March that his cancer was in remission, and he finished his cancer treatment. So I mean, good for him. It's always good to hear people that have successfully gone through cancer treatment and have cancer in remission, especially such a high profile case of it. But that's the good story of the day.
Okay. All right. Well, nice. I like it. Ending on a positive note. So, James, that'll take us to our main event for tonight, which is doing our recap of the first round of the NFL draft, my man. And so,
do you want to start? Do you want me to start with the worst pick in the fucking entire fucking draft? Possibly the dumbest pick I've seen in 15 years of watching the NFL draft.
Well, I thought maybe we could just go pick by pick and give just a couple thoughts on each one. What we liked, what we didn't like, and when we get to number 8, we can let the train fucking crash. Okay.
All right, that sounds good for me. Oh, I was wrong. I had something reversed when I said earlier.
Oh, and do you have do you know what all the trades were, or do you have an article for that? I know in the past you've been good at finding that stuff. We don't need it if it's hard to find. I just
no, it's fairly easy to find. What the difficulty is at this point is getting it pre-draft versus post-draft trades.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, pre-draft like before the draft started versus after the draft started. Not obviously you're not going to trade a pick after the draft, but
yeah, you get multiple. Yeah, you get going into the draft, and then you get at the draft, and yeah, I get you. It can, the lines can get blurry sometimes, and so, yeah, and I mean the first overall pick, right? That was a traded pick, from last year,
that was a traded pick from last year. That was a no-brainer pick. Everybody knew that was going to be the pick.
Yeah, no fooling around here, right? The Bears took Caleb Williams. There was no smoke and mirrors, no secrecy, no waiting to trade the pick. I mean, they made a comment that they would have to get like a ton of stuff to trade it. And that was before, I believe, they traded Fields away. Pretty much ever since they traded Fields away, it was like a guarantee this guy was going to be the pick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he was a no-brainer. I think he's currently probably the most lined up for success in the NFL based on his talent, but overall, I don't think he was the best quarterback in this draft.
Sure.
I think actually the third quarterback pick, the pet quarterback that went to the Patriots, is the best quarterback in this draft and the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft. Maybe not pro. His game translates to the pro game the best, in my opinion, from what I saw.
Okay. Yeah, and so, with Caleb Williams, I mean, obviously it was like the top need for the Bears. They put together a hell of a roster. They're putting him in a great position to succeed right out of the gate. I don't really have any complaints about the pick. It just sucks because he's one of our fucking rivals now, right? So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say what I said. My complaint about the pick is they're running it back again. Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, same style quarterback. Like, they didn't have success with Justin Fields. What makes them think that Caleb Williams is going to have that success? Because Justin Fields was highly touted coming into the draft when he was selected too.
That's true.
It's that same style quarterback. After a point of doing the same thing, why not try something different? And maybe draft the guy that has the game that translates the most to the NFL in Drake May.
All
But
right, all right. Yeah, so you were thinking maybe Drake May, if they were smarter, would have been the better pick.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, for me, it's tough. Like, him, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, all very highly rated. Almost everybody had Caleb Williams as like the unanimous number one. But like, I think like some of the ratings, like Williams was a 97, Daniels a 94, Drake May a 93. They're all pretty good, right? I mean, I
hmm
guess Williams is a step above in that regard, but I mean, for the Bears, it when you have the number one pick, you kind of got to go quarterback, and it keeps that Super Bowl window open, like we were talking about with the golf contract, which is you're keeping a rookie or you're keeping a quarterback on a rookie contract, which helps the Bears have a few years to like you know catch
yeah,
some fucking lightning here and take it for a
yeah.
run.
It's the reset button. And the thing I do like about Caleb Williams is of the top three quarterbacks going into this draft, he was the one that did it the most consistently. He
Okay.
did it over multiple years, had success at the college level. So the next two, Jaden Daniels and Drake May, had a year of success at the college level. I mean, before Jaden Daniels went to LSU, I forget where he was, but he was like the 200th prospect last year.
Yeah. Yeah. He
So
came out of nowhere pretty
he
much. Yeah.
came out of nowhere, and my concern with that is, I, it's not Chip Kelly, it's the other Kelly, Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Kelly. The Brian Kelly does that, like he did that at Notre Dame too. When he was there, he was able to have those quarterbacks that do good in college in his system, but never. I can't think of a quarterback that was coached by Brian Kelly at the college level that translated to the NFL game.
Yeah. None's popping in my head here. Um, all right. Well, I mean, yeah, and that takes us to two with Washington taking Jaden Daniels. So you think, I'm sure, that it should have been Drake May since he didn't go one.
Yeah, I thought that, and when we did our mock draft, I even went with Drake May because I think Drake May is a better quarterback, and I have concerns about Jane Daniels. I still have concerns about Drake May, and with the Commanders, they really couldn't roll it back with another North Carolina quarterback, as you pointed out.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, how extreme is that? I mean, it's kind of foolish, but I just think, that it's just easy to point to it and be like, oh my God, we just had a guy from North Carolina.
yeah,
So,
but the thing with Jane Daniels is like he had one good year in college,
yeah.
one. Like I want to look. So before he went to LSU, he was at Arizona State, and his stats at Arizona State, he so in 3 years, I'm sorry, he had 2 seasons at LSU. LSU in three years at Arizona State, he had he had the exact same amount, or roughly the same amount of yards. I'll call it two. I'll call it 2.5 years because one of the years was 2020, which was the COVID year. They only played 4 games. He he had approximately the same amount of yards in no, he had 1,000 less yards in 2.5 years at Arizona State than he did in his 2 seasons at LSU under Brian Kelly. And even after the 2022 season, he was still a low prospect.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah. And
a
I mean,
really
I
low
think,
prospect.
I think that a lot of the hype with him is the dual threat. Can he be, a Lamar Jackson kind of guy at the NFL level? And, he won the Heisman, right? And so it's like he's showing some stuff, right? But you're taking a lot of risk that he's going to be able to be that kind of player in the NFL. And I like it. I think that, I'm trying to get more and more on board with these mobile quarterbacks, right? Because they can be a game changer, especially early on in their career. If they can make it work with their legs while they're figuring out what to do with their arm, it could have Washington on the map sooner than later.
Yeah, but I mean that also goes to like how they're using him and LSU. Like all the teams in the SEC, or the majority of the teams in the SEC were down this year. They had a fairly easy SEC schedule this year and fairly easy overall schedule this year.
Okay.
Um, so I think with the exception of they start so they started the year um, against Florida State, which Florida State probably should have been in the playoffs, but they weren't. They played Grambling State, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Auburn, Army, Alabama, Florida, Georgia State, Texas A&M, and then they played Wisconsin in the bowl game. So they had a fairly easy-ish schedule, and like the teams they played in their division, like Ole Miss was okay. Ole Miss was 11-2, but outside of that, like you're looking at all fairly 500 teams. Florida was 5-7. Auburn was 6-7. So I mean, they're playing easier teams. I mean, Arkansas was 4-8.
Yeah.
You're going to have that success when you look at the previous year where they played a similar style schedule with teams that were also down. Like I mean, they played Auburn, who was 5-7. They played all these teams again. They Southern, New Mexico, Florida that year was 6-7, so it was similar. But he didn't have the stats in 2022. He jumps onto the scene in 2023 and has the stats. Something's shaky there for me.
Yeah. So you're putting
But
him on bust watch, is what it sounds like.
yeah,
All right. Well, then let's go to number three with the Patriots, man. So Drake May, number 3 overall. Sounds like you like that pick for the Patriots.
I do like that pick for the Patriots. I like Drake May. I think like if you look at Drake May's stats, his stats were slightly less, just barely. Okay, take out the rushing. Take out the rushing stats. He had 200 yards less passing than Jaden Daniels. He had 700 yards less rushing. He still had 450 yards rushing, and and they had a relatively tough schedule from what I remembered, and I'm looking for it, and it's where the fuck is their schedule? Okay, so yeah, so they played Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, Miami, maybe they played Florida State, NC State, Clemson. All these teams are all above 500. All these teams are a lot better teams. They I thought they had a harder schedule than LSU, and he had similar stats.
Sure.
Um, yes, he did have two of his receivers drafted into the NFL, one in the third round, one in the seventh round. But I like Drake May more than I do
Yeah. Well,
Jaden
Jaden
Daniels.
Daniels had
And he
had a
also
couple wide receivers go in the first round and what, the
right,
second round or
but
something.
also when
So
you look at Drake
actually
May's
two in the
stats,
first round.
so if you just want to compare it, let me pull up and put them side by side. I just saw this that Jaden Daniels. So okay, so in 2022 season, Jaden Daniels had 2,913 yards passing, 885 yards rushing. In 2022 season, Drake May had 4,321 yards passing, 698 yards rushing.
Yeah, significantly more.
In 2023, Drake May had 3,600 yards passing and 449 yards rushing, where Jaden Daniels had 3,800 yards passing and 1,134 yards rushing. But right there, my point is Drake May did it 2 years in a row.
Yeah, yeah, you like that. You like seeing the consistency. You like seeing, more proving it out with more time.
Yeah, and so since he did it the 2 years in a row, and at North Carolina, who's not a football school,
Yeah,
he played in the ACC, which has a few football schools, not all, not like the SEC, but the SEC's kind of been down the last 2 years as they've been expanding too. So I just I just like Drake May more. I feel bad for him that he ended up in a team that is going through a transition in the sense of coaching changes and everything that
yeah, and he doesn't have anybody to throw
New England's
to,
going through.
and yeah.
Exactly, he doesn't have anybody to throw to. But
Well, he's
I
got a
think
tight end, I guess. He's still got Hunter Henry, but yeah, they don't have any wide receivers.
yeah. So it's kind of like a no brainer for New England to pick them. There was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of what I was reading that that Washington decided basically at the last minute that it was Jaden Daniels over Drake May.
Okay.
But
All right, well, let's go to four, man. So the Cardinals took Marvin Harrison Jr. Some people thought maybe they would trade down a couple spots and still possibly get him, uh, but they stood at four and they grabbed him. Most people regard him as the top-rated wide receiver in the draft, although Malik Neighbors going into the draft was starting to get into that conversation. And so,
Marvin
um,
Harrison Jr. is Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, that's the best. He's Marvin Harrison Sr. just better. I mean,
okay,
you can't go
yeah,
wrong with that pick. You don't pass
yeah.
up like I heard a lot of stuff about Arizona possibly trading that pick, but you don't pass up on Larry Fitzgerald. Period.
No, I agree. I like the pick. I think that with them committing to Kyler Murray, you needed to get him some weapons, and it's a solid pick for them, man. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, plus he was the number two overall prospect on Scouts Inc. So it's not like you could say they reached for him. They actually got him at a little bit of a deal, if you could say it. So, all right. So I think we're good there. Five, the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh era starting there. They went after offensive tackle Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. A lot of people were kind of thinking maybe they would go wide receiver after losing both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Instead, they decided to fortify that offensive line. We kind of talked about it in our mock draft that, there had been some rumors that Harbaugh is going to want to run the football and build from the trenches. And I mean, so far based off of this, it looks like that's the direction he's going in.
So I just accidentally clicked on something on ESPN.com, and I want to tell you that there's good news that the first 2025 mock draft is already posted. Um,
Okay.
I don't know what the fuck the Chargers were doing going with Joe Alt. It's not a knock against Joe Alt. We've talked about it. We love those Notre Dame tackles, like those.
Yeah.
It's
Ronnie
it,
Stanley and oh yeah,
yeah.
there's plenty of them.
They
Yeah.
produce fucking great offensive tackles at Notre Dame. Something about that Catholic education that produces an offensive tackle. Not knocking Notre Dame, but there's something there. But but I think the fact that Arizona picked um, Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of forced Harbaugh to look at it and be like, well, I think we got to go offensive tackle, because I think they were hoping that Harrison Jr. fell to them. Um, and I think Joe Alt was second on their board. I would have liked to see them go with a wide receiver, but I mean, I don't know who. Why the fuck do you have Justin Herbert if you're not going to give them anybody else to throw the ball to?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess part of it is you got to protect him, right? And so I think it's smart to get the tackle. Um,
Right,
yeah,
but I didn't have offensive tackle as one of their real needs.
I don't know. I think they're going to be running the ball more. I think he's bringing his Michigan blueprint to Los Angeles, and Herbert's still going to air it out because it's
But who the
Herbert.
fuck are they going to run the ball with?
Oh, freaking Gus Edwards and Blake
Gus
Corum,
Edwards,
man,
Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins.
or
Like
or J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, sorry.
Dobbins is going to be hurt.
Yeah,
Edwards is the number one. Or what are they going to do? What are they going to do? A four-headed beast with Isaiah Spiller and Kimani Vidal? I mean, they have nobody to run the fucking ball. They have nobody to throw the ball to. Like the Chargers are going to be lucky to win 4 games this year.
all right. So would you have preferred it be Neighbors then, since Harrison was gone?
I would have.
Okay.
I would have
Yeah, and
preferred it to be Neighbors.
I think I want to say we mocked, yeah, we
We
mocked
did.
Neighbors, so that's fine. I think I would have been fine either way. You know me, I'm always a fan of fortifying the offensive line, but yeah, it sucks that Herbert's lacking weapons now.
And also with with them going offensive tackle instead of wide receiver, and we'll get to that in a couple picks, but with them doing what they did, that allowed prob my second favorite wide receiver in this draft to go to one of our rivals.
Okay. Well, all right. So yeah, let's get to number 6 then. So the Giants took Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver out of LSU. What did you think about that pick, man?
I thought they should have picked up the phone and called Atlanta and said, "Hey, I hear you want a quarterback. Well, why don't you trade up to get him? Otherwise, we're going to trade our pick to fucking Denver."
Okay, okay. Um, okay.
No,
So,
I like Neighbors. I think he's good. I think the Giants fucked up by they're putting too much in the basket of Daniel Jones, who's a fucking bust
yeah.
and can't throw the ball. And yeah, you're giving him weapons, and he hasn't really had true weapons. So, but he can't. Daniel Jones isn't the quarterback of the future. At some point, you got to realize that and cut the cord and move on. I honestly thought the Giants should have gone quarterback.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. I did think, in terms of the value, Neighbors was the number 3 prospect on Scouts Inc. So it's not like they, reached for him. And I think logically you can say, hey, Daniel Jones hasn't had a wide receiver one. We're finally giving it to him. But to me, it just feels like it's too little, too late. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like the first chance they get now, they gotta jump ship on Daniel Jones, and then Neighbors is going to be there for the next quarterback, which is going to be, potentially a couple years of his career now, where he's waiting for a quarterback to really
Well,
throw him the ball.
it's the same
So
thing that's going on in Minnesota.
yeah,
Like they didn't commit to Cousins. Now Justin Jefferson has to have had a couple years in the league, obviously a phenomenal talent, and he's going to have that rookie quarterback that's going to have to go through that's going to have to go through the growing pains. Like
yeah.
you
So
don't
so
want to.
who would you have preferred the Giants to take? J.J. McCarthy? Because, I think when we were looking at it, they had needs at defensive tackle. Um, you know, they brought in Swift to kind of fill the running back void, but interior offensive line, there wasn't really, I mean, unless they wanted to reach and get like Byron Murphy, who was the number 14th prospect, there wasn't really like it would have had to be a guy like McCarthy or the wide receiver, right? And so, I think for them not going quarterback, I think that it ended up being the right pick.
I can't argue with that with
I
your
just think they
logic.
suck.
I can't argue with your logic on it. I cannot argue with your logic on it. I just don't
Yeah, they should have just never gotten this far with Daniel Jones to begin with, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but they made their bed, now they're laying in it. And so, uh, all right, well that's fine. Let's keep it moving here, man. So at number 7, we've got the Titans, and I had talked to you about it in the mock that I could have seen them going offensive line 2 years in a
Mhm.
row, which is like not sexy by any means for the fan base, but their offensive line got so shitty that they really needed to do something there, and that's what they did. They drafted J.C. Latham out of Alabama. He was let's see the number. I'm trying to find him here on the list. So Latham was the. Oh, what am I doing wrong here? Sorry.
So Latham overall pre-draft rank, according to ESPN, was 23rd. Um,
Yeah.
he
So
had a 90 grade. He was listed as the 5th best offensive tackle in the draft. I like going offensive line. I don't like this pick.
yeah, it seems like all right. So Troy Fontenot was higher rated. Olamuaya Fashanu out of Penn State. Graham Barton. Amarius Mims. Man, it's tough. I mean, when you look at their ratings, a lot of these guys, so Latham's a 90, a lot of these guys are also 90s or 91s. And
All right.
so,
I'm just gonna I'm just going to read the post-draft analysis on ESPN, and this is going to say everything you need to know.
sure.
Latham is a prototypical right tackle in a power run scheme,
So they
which
should have
isn't,
got him before they got rid of Derrick Henry, is what you're telling me.
yes, it's not what Callahan's known because he built a passing offense around
Yeah,
3 wide receivers in Cincinnati.
yeah.
Latham has never taken a snap at left tackle,
Ooh,
which is the Titans' biggest need.
yeah. Hmm.
And it's if the plan is to play him on the left side, the fit is questionable in a true developmental question.
Okay. So not an ideal pick. You would have still gone offensive lineman, but with one of the other guys.
Right. I would have gone offensive lineman. I like the pick. There. We did mock them for Joe Alt,
Yeah, we
which
gave him Joe Alt, man, which would have been a home run, but he's off the board.
yeah, but he was off the board. Who would I pick instead? I probably maybe maybe Fashanu or what's the other guy's name? It's the guy from Washington. The two names, they were the same. Fontenot or Fashanu.
Yeah, Fontenot from Washington. Yeah, the guard.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, James, let's go to number 8. I know you got a lot to say here, so I'm just going to sit back and let you do your thing.
So what I'm hearing about this, and I told you this, is when Atlanta was on the clock, GM at Atlanta picked the phone to call Kirk Cousins, said, Penix, 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 and hung up. What the fuck were they thinking? What the fuck? Why are you going to commit to Cousins? What is it, a 4-year, like $215 million contract, basically fully guaranteed, and commit to him for that term, and then turn around and draft a fucking quarterback? Not only draft a quarterback, you're drafting a first rounder that's going to be your backup for his entire contract.
Top 10. Top 10. It's
Yes,
garbage.
he might be the succession plan, and yeah, they might want I understand it from the aspect of Cousins is coming off of an Achilles injury.
Yeah, I mean, you had 3 more years to work on the succession plan when you could have gotten a guy to help you win now.
I don't get it. I just don't fucking get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you, in the draft when we were chatting on Facebook that I think you could easily make the argument that this was worse than the Jordan Love pick.
Worse than the Jordan Love pick. This was the worst fucking draft pick I've seen since, like, going into the draft since I've been fucking paying attention to the NFL
Yeah.
for 15, 20 years. Like, seriously, like not only are you picking a guy in the top 10 that's going to be a backup for 3 to 4 years,
Yeah.
but you're not even drafting the next available quarterback or next best
Yeah.
available quarterback. You're drafting the fucking 6th best quarterback in the draft at number 9, the
Yeah.
4th quarterback taken.
Yes, they made a bad choice. And, when we mocked it, I think we had him, I'm pulling it up right now, we had him taking Dallas Turner, which I thought would have been a fine pick here. He was still available. He was actually the top guy on the board. Man, it would have been, they've been desperate for an edge guy for like 15 years. It would have been perfect. And no, they just shit the bed, man. That's all that.
Let me say it this way. Anybody else but a fucking quarterback
Yeah.
at this pick would have been
Yeah.
amazing for them.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
What
I'm looking at,
fuck?
they could have taken the next wide receiver, Dunze. They could have taken, Quinion Mitchell at quarterback. They could have taken so many of these guys, man. So many of these guys. Oh, and all of them could have helped them win now.
Yeah.
Instead, Penix is just going to sit there riding the pine unless Cousins gets hurt. And then it's,
Or Cousins can't play coming back from the Achilles. But then like Penix is not ready to start in the NFL.
yeah, and it's just a huge contract for Cousins to just go to waste. So,
Another fucking team that doesn't fucking support Cousins.
yeah, I don't know why you sign the guy if you don't want to win with the guy.
Yeah.
All right. So, James, we've got the Bears at number 9. They took wide receiver Rome Odunze, however you say his name. What did you think about that pick, man?
I hate to say it. I love the pick. I hate to say it. Every comparison I see for Odunze, every comparison is Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Every fucking comparison. You have Caleb Williams and Odunze, who is going to be the number 3 receiver right now on the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, I mean, they've got fucking Keenan Allen and DJ Moore.
Right.
And Cole
But,
Kmet at tight end.
right. But DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, I think, has 2 years left.
Yeah, so you're already starting to groom a guy to be your number 1, which I'm okay with it. My only concern here is just that I would have thought they should have beefed up the offensive line to protect Caleb Williams. And this is it's reminiscent of you mentioned Jamar Chase. When the Bengals took him over Penny Sewell, which everybody was like, oh man, you got to protect Burrow. I thought they should have protected Caleb Williams, but they're giving him a hell of a lot of weapons. So, I don't think you can complain either way. This guy's walking into maybe the best situation ever for a quarterback, man.
And I was wrong. Keenan Allen only has 1 more year left on his contract.
Okay.
So Odunze is going to be the succession plan at wide receiver for the Bears. He's going to be their long-term wide receiver number 1. Actually, I went back. I went back looking at some of the mocks I look at, and I didn't realize this, and I probably should have brought it up when we did our mock. Everybody and their brother was mocking the Bears to pick a Doomsday.
Yeah, no, I did see that as we were going into it, and I thought it was strange just because you already have your number one and number two and a tight end, and so I thought, man, spread the love somewhere else. You gotta have a complementary team, but I get it, man. They just want him dropping dimes right out the gate.
Mm-hmm. And like, that's there's that's the thing with Caleb Williams that they didn't do with Justin Fields is they're setting Caleb Williams up from the start to be
Yeah,
successful.
yeah, you're right.
They didn't
Yeah,
do it with Justin Fields. They didn't do it with um, whoever the fuck they had before Fields. They didn't do it with whoever the fuck they had before that. Like they're setting him up to be successful, and I like that for Chicago. I like that for Caleb Williams. I hate that for the Lions.
for
But
sure. Yeah.
speaking of NFC North rivals,
All
for
right, you
some
taking us to
stupid
10?
ass reason, the Minnesota Vikings traded with the Jets, and they swapped first round picks. They swapped a 6th round from Minnesota. No, I'm sorry. They swapped. They sent the Vikings sent their first number 11, their fourth number 129, and their 5th round selection number 157 to the Jets for their first number 10 and 6th round selection 203 to move up one spot, which nobody was fucking trading up with the Jets, and the Jets weren't going to fucking pick this player anyways.
Yeah, I think the Jets spooked him. They must have been like, "Hey, we're getting calls,"
And
and they fell for it.
they fell for it, which I love. Fucking Minnesota. For not only do you fuck around and lose Kirk Cousins, but then you fuck around and you lose pieces that could make you a better team to trade up. And yeah, you've got the 4th best quarterback in the draft at the 5th quarterback being picked in the draft to get JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, and he
problem
floated up
is,
to number 9 on the Scouts Inc. board, which, was high in my opinion. So, I mean, it's not like it was like a super reach in that regard. I just, I don't know, man. I just am still skeptical about McCarthy's potential at the NFL level.
yeah, and yes, he was the best available quarterback at the slot. The NFL comp for JJ McCarthy is not somebody. It's somebody that can stick around and play a lot of games for your franchise, not win a lot of games.
Okay.
Jake Plummer.
Oh, all right.
I I love the fact that they gave away pieces to move up a spot, waste the 10th round pick on McCarthy. Probably could have done better than McCarthy. I don't know. I struggle to find where they really could have done better, but don't fucking trade up for
Yeah, it would have had to be a big trade up to get one of the top 3 guys, right? And
him. Yeah,
they just probably were stonewalled from even doing it because they just didn't have the resources, or those teams just were that committed to taking quarterbacks.
right. So let the draft come to you.
Yeah.
Let like when you're splitting hairs between McCarthy and Bo Nix, let it come to you at 11. Don't give up pieces for it.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that thought. Yeah, I like what you're going at.
Which then I like I like I like what the Jets did at number 11. So they have an aging quarterback that's coming off an Achilles injury, and they go out and they get Olu Foshman.
Yeah, and that's after they brought in Tyron Smith from
Right.
Dallas. So yeah, they're definitely stacking that line to protect Rodgers, man.
Not only stacking the line to protect Rodgers, but they potentially have their future at left tackle right here.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot.
I love the pick. I think he was. I think he was probably who Tennessee, not Tennessee. Um, yes, who Tennessee should have drafted, as I said. Him or Fontenot. Like, you couldn't go wrong. I like Fontenot. Like, I mean, you're splitting hairs between them. They got probably should have gone with, maybe would have liked it more if they went with Fontenot than Fontenot. But I mean, you can't go wrong. You
Sure.
can't go wrong. Beefing up the offensive line. Not only do you have the insurance to protect Rodgers now, but when Rodgers finally hangs it up, you will have your long-term answer at left tackle, so your future rookie quarterback doesn't have to worry about it.
Okay. All right. Want to take us to the Broncos?
The Broncos.
I mean, this is where it started getting nuts in the draft, right? Because you got what's that? 5, 6 guys at quarterback. 1, 2, 3, 6 guys at quarterback, man, through 12 picks.
Which question of the week before the draft? You said what will be the biggest surprise of the draft?
Yeah.
Or something crazy, and I said there will be 6 quarterbacks drafted in the first round.
You were on it, man. You were on it. I still think it's nuts that this many teams took quarterbacks.
Half the fucking first 12 picks would be quarterback.
Yeah, so maybe a few tucked in at the end of the first round, right? But
yeah, I thought one or two of them would be at the end of the first round just to get that 5th-year option. What is there to say about Bo Nix?
Yeah, I mean, he was the 32nd ranked guy. And so, they reached, but it's a quarterback. So it's kind of like, how much of a reach is it really? You're making him your franchise guy. And they had a huge freaking gaping hole at quarterback. So, it's kind of like if you don't do it here, maybe you'll lose him and you're up a creek without a quarterback until next year. So, I'm okay with the pick, and I know that they've talked up his high completion percentage as being like the guy that Sean Payton really liked. And I get that because, Drew Brees was like a super high completion percentage guy, and, you can make some comparisons just in that regard. But man, I don't know. I think teams went fucking quarterback crazy in this first round,
I think
man.
they went quarterback crazy. Here's my issue with the pick. It's going to take a big adjustment for Bo Nix to go into Sean Payton's offense because of the fact that Sean Payton, I'm sorry, not Sean Payton's offense, into the AFC West because of the fact that predominantly at Oregon they ran RPOs. Like almost every fucking play was an RPO.
Yeah, maybe they'll have to mix some of that in to get him through a transition.
Yeah, and it's gonna take him time to get used to the NFL game at that respect. I also don't like his pro comp because I don't think this quarterback should be a starting quarterback. I don't think, and I just don't like this quarterback. His pro comp is Dak Prescott.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So his pro comp is a third, 4th round pick who can't win a playoff game.
All right. All right. Yeah, I mean, hey, I like it. I'm not sure that there was really a better pick for him because of the need, right? And it's just a tough kind of spot to be in.
Exactly. It's like there's no better pick. I will also say, and I will point this out because we're still going for a little bit longer. We still haven't had a defensive player drafted.
Yeah, this is wild, man. This is really wild. All right, so at 13, we've got the Raiders.
Which I think 11 at the 12th pick, defensive player, that was the latest pick. That was the first defensive player previous to this draft was number 12.
Gotcha. Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, and so at 13, we've got Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia, got picked by the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll be honest, man. I'll be honest. I like Brock Bowers. I like his potential in the NFL. But with Antonio Pierce getting that full-time coaching job, I really wanted to see him get a defensive guy and focus on winning with defense. I feel like he fell into the typical rookie head coach trap where you're a defensive guy, so you go and draft offense because you just think I can make my defense work with whoever I got. And it just bums me out. I think it's a great pick. I just wanted to see him go defense.
Okay. My concern with Brock Bowers is the wide receiver tight end hybrid. That's this new
Yeah,
thing. That I haven't seen it done consistently well.
yeah, like the Kyle Pitts thing didn't
Kyle
work.
Pitts, exactly. That's who
You
I'm
know,
thinking.
yeah,
His pro comp is pretty good. It's Kittle. I will say that apparently in college in 2022 he averaged 12.1 yards per carry and rushed for 3 touchdowns on 9 carries.
okay.
Um, I think he's a good tight end. I think my issue with this pick, my big issue with this pick for the Raiders is who did the Raiders draft last year in the first round?
Refresh my memory.
Tight end Michael Myers.
Oh shit, that's right. That is right.
I'm sorry. Second round.
Yeah, but still, yeah.
So they picked the best tight end last year, and they picked the best tight end this year.
Yeah,
Why the fuck do you need 2 tight ends?
no, and so James, going back to my point, when I saw this pick, I thought, man, Dallas Turner still sitting there out of Alabama, edge
Mm.
guy. You've got Crosby at one side. You brought in freaking Christian Wilkins at defensive tackle. If you could bring in a guy like Dallas Turner and put him on the other side, Antonio Pierce just got a freaking sick defensive front, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see him get those beasts up front and win with fucking defense. And like I said, I like Brock Bowers. I would have gone in a different direction.
I I I wouldn't have drafted, considering drafting Myers last year, who we thought was
Yeah.
weird that he dropped to the second round.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought, the speed could be an issue, right? And so, I mean, hey, that's all right. All right, so, all right, let's keep going here, man. So at 14, the Saints took, Taliesa Fuaga, however you say his name, out of Oregon State, offensive tackle. What'd you think about the pick, man?
Um, I thought it was a reach. I thought probably drafting him 10 spots above where his value was, but
One of their top needs, right?
one of their top needs. Um, he'll probably start right away. There, so I can't really have much issue with it, especially Ramczyk having knee injuries,
Yeah.
and what's the other guy that can't play tackle? What's his name? I can't remember his name. I'm not even gonna bother looking it up. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's all right.
I thought it was the position was at the position, especially with Fontenay, who I thought was more of a tackle than a guard in this draft, still being there. But you can't really. They rated him higher than Fontenay. I can't really argue with it. They drafted for need. That's
Yeah.
not. they still drafted a first round guy. Guy that can. I can't really
Yeah, I
argue
think,
with it.
to me, this is where I started really scratching my head, wondering what's going on with Dallas Turner. I thought, okay, you've now had a couple teams pass him over,
Mm-hmm.
and edge was one of New Orleans' top needs. Offensive tackle was as well. It was, we had it, I think, third on their list of needs, but um, all I could think of was, okay, they're stuck in bed with Derek Carr, and they got to protect him, and they got to have that offense look good, or they're all going to look like shit for bringing in Derek Carr. And that's, to me, that's the only reason that you reach for the offensive lineman instead of getting a significantly higher rated defensive lineman, which is arguably a bigger need if you're looking at the overall team building, not just
Mm-hmm.
the offensive side of the ball.
And I think this is also where I started talking to you, where I was saying, if Turner keeps dropping,
Yeah. Where, at
at
what point do you trade up to get him?
what point do you trade up? And I think what I told you was, and we'll get to it in a minute, a couple more picks, but I think the wording I said was we have to get to 17 ahead of Cincinnati. We'll leave it there. Next up, we finally have a defensive player drafted at number 15. Like, I'm going to let you say his name.
Latu?
Yes. Edge from UCLA. And this is where I really wonder, what the fuck?
Yeah, finally we got some defense. And, we're getting a guy
And
that
it's
was
not
profiled
Dallas
as a
Turner.
part-time guy, right?
It's still not Dallas Turner. What the fuck's going on with Dallas
Yeah.
Turner?
Yeah, at that point you got to think something's wrong with him. He's tainted. People are just not touching him, right?
Yeah. I think while I like Latu as an edge guy, I think there's some concern with him because he missed 2 seasons in college, in 2020 and 2021 seasons, or 2019, 20. He missed 2 seasons in college with a neck injury.
Okay.
And so that's a little bit of a concern. I like him. I think it's a good fit. It fit a need for the Colts. I thought so. I can't really complain about it.
Yeah.
I'm really been trying to look up why
Turner was
Dallas
sliding.
Turner
Yeah.
slid so much.
Yeah, for me, I don't think it's a horrible pick. The injury history I think is a little bit of a concern. I had defensive tackle as a higher need, and I also had cornerback as a higher need. And so for me, I would have thought maybe you go after Quinion Mitchell at cornerback, or even Byron Murphy at defensive tackle here. But it's not the end of the world. It just I think those two guys were a little higher rated, a little higher up on the board, and a little bit safer in terms of not having the injury issues of the past. But yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. It's not a horrible pick.
Yeah. Speaking of Byron Murphy, he went number 16 to the Seahawks. Again, it fit a need. I fit a need for Seattle. Probably he was by far by way ahead of the next best defensive tackle in the draft, which I can't even remember who that fucking was. But hold on, let me find him, because he went in the first. No, he didn't go in the first round. He went in the second round. Anyway, I like the pick. I like the fit. I like the player. It's right around that value. He was rated 14th overall. So you can't complain there with the value.
Yeah. I think he was a really good pick for them. This is a spot where I started wondering if you could see a team go and grab a guy like Graham Barton, the top-rated center.
Hmm.
And, interior offensive line was a need for Seattle. But they did bring in a defensive-minded coach, and I do like that he went after defense. And so I'm good with the pick overall for the Seahawks, man. Plus, they got a ton of weapons on offense still, so it's not like they're hurting there.
Yeah. Not, they're not hurting there. I mean, they've they're really they're doing they've done over the past few seasons what we talk about you want to do, that you improve the trenches. Um, they have now have in the under defensive line Leonard Williams, Dermont Jones, and Byron Murphy.
Yeah, that's a formidable front right there.
Yeah. Oh, and finally Dallas Turner goes in the second trade of the night. Jacksonville and Minnesota hooked up for a trade. Minnesota gave up some more picks. They got the first round. They got the 17th pick in exchange for the first and fifth round, 23 and 167 of Minnesota, plus a 2025 third round and a 2025 fourth round selection to get Dallas Turner. And all I have to say is bravo. Bravo, motherfuckers. Fuck any other team but the Vikings trade up to get him.
Yeah,
Fuck, at this point, I was
yeah,
asking for the Lions to fucking trade up to pick him.
yeah,
The
yeah. Me
Lions
too,
did
man.
trade up. They did trade up a little bit later, but fuck.
I was, for the Lions, I was starting to think, okay, um, either you hope that he keeps sliding, or they trade up, or you hope Chop Robinson is there. To me, I thought it's one of the two guys. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
That's who I want for the Lions, man. And it didn't happen for either of them, but I was definitely bummed out that Minnesota went up and got Dallas Turner.
Yeah,
And it was a huge need for them after
exactly.
losing
They
Daniil Hunter. So,
completely replaced Neil Hunter. Um, a younger, possibly better edge guy. I can't argue it. I I hate to love the pick, but I love the
yeah.
pick. They did give up a lot for him, but
Yeah, but the dude was a top 10 rated guy, slid this
yeah,
far.
dude's fucking dude's fucking phenomenal. They have a long term good ass pass rusher on the edge, and fuck.
uh, all right, so at 18, James, we've got Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle out of Georgia, getting drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. What'd you think of that pick, my man? I mean, it was one of their top needs, right?
It was one of their top needs. Uh, they did sign Trent Brown to a 1 year contract. My issue with this player is I believe their need is at the right tackle position, not the left tackle position, and this is a left tackle. In college, he only played 8 games at right tackle.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm sorry. In his career, he only played 8 games at right tackle. He's inconsistent. He's not. He's too inconsistent to be this high of a pick, especially with who's still on the board? Troy Fontenot, who I think is going to play at tackle, or who else is on the board? Oh, like I,
I
uh,
gotcha.
what's
So
his face?
you like the position, you just don't like the player.
I like the position. I like beefing up the offensive line, and we're trying to actually act like at least they're acting like they care about protecting fucking Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it can be a good pick, but it looks like he's got some developmental work to do.
yeah,
And I think they got the position right. I think that this was their biggest need, and I'm okay with it because he was like 22 on the board, so it's not
yeah.
that far off, right?
It's not that far off. I honestly thought Fontenot could have been better. We'll get to Fontenot in a minute.
All right. So then at
And we
19,
have a confusing pick at 19.
all right. Well, yeah, take it, man. Tell me what's up.
They picked the Rams picked Jared Verse, edge rusher from Florida State. I don't think he was the best edge rusher on the board here. Certain rankings have him as a good edge rusher, best edge rusher on the board. I understand going edge rusher here with the Rams.
Yeah, Aaron Donald retiring, and yeah.
Aaron Donald retiring. I like Verse. I don't think he was the best player to pick here, but I understand going with the player, and hey, more power to him. The head Verse rated higher than the other guy.
Yeah.
Is he going to replace Aaron Donald? No. They're going to have to do something different now that Aaron Donald's not there. Is he going to start day one? Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't have a lot to complain about with this pick. I had cornerback, edge, and safety as their top needs. And I would have liked to probably see them go Quinion Mitchell at cornerback. But the Rams never really draft a cornerback high. And, I guess if you've got the choice between the trenches and the secondary, the trenches probably get the priority. And so Verse, a 91 rated guy, Mitchell, 92 rated cornerback. I mean, they're pretty darn close. So I was okay with the pick, but I agree. They got to do something different now that Aaron Donald's gone, and he's just going to be a piece of the puzzle is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I agree. It's a piece of the puzzle. I thought they could have done better at edge, but that's the only confusion I have with
who did you want them to go after? Chop?
Yeah, I think okay. Chop Robinson is a little bit better.
He might have the higher ceiling, I think. A lot of what I hear or what I read and hear is that, the ceiling for him could be a lot higher, but it just hasn't all been put together on tape yet. All right, so at 20, we got the Steelers.
And now, oh my God.
Now they're taking your man, Troy Fontenot.
And the Steelers, is this 2 years in a row they draft offensive linemen in the first round?
This is nuts, man. It's almost like we need to be bringing Big Ben out of retirement, man. Hey, we can finally protect you.
Yeah, no shit. I love this pick. I love Fontenot. I think this is huge value at number 20. I think he translates to probably is going to end up being offensive tackle. They did announce him at guard. He started 29 games at left tackle at Washington. Fucking strong. His pro comp is Peter Skoronski.
Yeah, who went top 10 to Tennessee last year.
Yeah. So I love this pick. I think bravo, Pittsburgh, figuring it out. If only you did that a couple years ago and drafted offensive linemen instead of, drafting Najee Harris. But hey, at least now you guys can block for your offensive lineman can block for Najee Harris and you have somebody there.
Yeah, and Harris is going into a contract year, so it's good. You're going to give him some lanes finally, and then I
Yeah,
think
but you
with
want to
a
do it net. You want to do it. You don't want to give him the lanes in his contract here because then
I
you can lowball his ass.
dude, I hear you. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just glad that they're building the offensive line
Yeah.
finally.
Oh,
And
I
I
love
think,
I love the pick.
you
I
know,
just
yeah, you've got an aging Russell Wilson who may not have anything left in the tank, and you got Justin Fields. So, in either case, you're giving them good protection, which is huge. And so I think the pick was spot on. All right, 21. We got the Dolphins took Chop Robinson.
finally somebody
Yeah,
fucking took Chop
this one
Robinson.
bummed me out because we were getting dangerously close to being able to get him, and I was just like, ah, shit.
I like I like the pick for Miami. I like Chop Robinson. I was just kind of like I think Chop Robinson is a poor man Darren Donald.
Okay.
He has quick hands. He can he's explosive, and I just I think he's going to be difficult to defend one on one, and also I think if he can play edge and he can play inside.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I like about him. I agree with you. I'm kind of bummed because we're getting to that point where we're like they're getting close to where the Lions are. I think the Lions originally had 27. You're saying you're getting close, but I like the pick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it fit for what they needed. I did think that this was another spot rather, where we could have seen Graham Barton go, the center out of Duke, and I thought that that would have maybe been a better fit for Miami when you look at, they're a team that's winning with offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they lost a lot of guys on that offensive line. I thought that would have been the more appropriate way to go, but I think they
But
got a great player in Chop Robinson, so I can't knock it, man.
but last year in the playoffs against Kansas City, their defense let them down.
I gotcha. Yeah. All right, so at 22, we've got Quinion Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo, going to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Why?
This is
Why?
where I started getting
Why?
sad because I thought,
Why?
man, this
Why?
was like the last guy that I had at the very top of my list for the Lions, and now he's gone. And yeah, I agree. You've got Slay and Bradbury, and now you got Quinion Mitchell, and so I
And
guess they're just so stacked everywhere that they've got to have like a 3 to 5 year plan. So
didn't and this is the thing, and some of this will be a little bit more next week, but they then in the second round they picked another fucking corner.
yeah, yeah.
Why the fuck do they need? Eh.
It's, I mean, they just didn't really have a whole lot of needs, right? And so they just took the best guy available. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'll
that's,
give
I
you
guess
that.
that's the challenge is when you're Philly, who else do you need? You know, you got a guy who's the number 10 ranked prospect sitting there staring in your face, and you don't have any major needs. I guess it's like, okay, you take him, right?
Okay, but why?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know. I think Philly needs help at linebacker, but it was too soon to go after a linebacker, and you couldn't pass on the value of Quinion Mitchell falling to you.
Uh, I will say this. Wait a minute. Philly needs. Let's think about this. Hold on. Wait, didn't their center just retire?
Oh
And
yeah, well yeah, there you go. There's the Graham Barton pick.
why the yeah?
Oh shit, no,
Just
you're right because no, they were just talking to the dude that's replacing Kelsey, and he was talking about, hey, I got to be me or whatever. I'm my own guy, my own style, whatever. And I thought, yeah, until they draft a guy to be the starter. But Okay, well then that's got to be it. They just thought the value was too high on Quinion Mitchell
Yeah.
because Graham
No.
Barton, number 18, I mean, that would have still been value for them at 22.
Yeah. I mean, both of those players would be value, and one of them actually fits a fucking need.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
well.
No, I think, yeah, you're right. I think Barton would have been the more appropriate pick. All right. So at 23, James, we've got Brian Thomas, the
Okay,
second
at
LSU wide receiver.
23, we have the third trade of the night.
Okay.
Now, oh no, never mind. This is part of the Minnesota trade. I'm sorry. I got confused because the number 23 pick first originally was Cleveland's, then it was traded to Houston in the Watson deal. Then it was traded from Houston to Minnesota. Then it was traded from Minnesota to Jacksonville. I just got confused with all that shit going on
Gotcha. Hey,
on it.
no biggie.
So
But yeah, so they take the second LSU wide receiver in the first round here, Brian Thomas Jr. Um, you know, Calvin Ridley gone in free agency, Zay Jones gone in free agency. They had a need there. Um, you know, this guy, as the draft was starting to really climb the boards pretty quickly.
mhm.
What do you think about the pick, man?
so adding in the fact that they traded back, so this guy was clearly the number 4 wide receiver on the board. The top 3 went in the top 10. Then it comes to them, and they're able to trade back and still get their guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
would
think,
have preferred to see him get help on the offensive line, but they need a wide receiver too, So,
yeah. And the thing of it is now besides Graham Barton, which if I recall correctly, I don't think center was a need we had for Jacksonville.
we put interior offensive line, but we didn't like specifically say center, and I don't remember
Actually,
who they have at center. So,
actually, I'm just looking at it, and it's center that they need.
all right.
I mean, their their left guard is Ezra Cleveland, right guard is Brandon Scherf, and their center is Mitch Morris. So it
Okay.
is center that they need. So another spot. Okay. They may see something in Mitch Morris that I don't.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it seems like Graham Barton should have been the pick.
yeah, it's
Brian
another
Thomas
spot.
would have been the backup to the pick.
Yeah, and Graham Barton was still available, so they probably should have picked Barton. Value wise, rating wise, it's about right in the range. I mean, he was overall number 24, and they traded back. Were able to get him. I do like his pro comp, which is everybody comps him to T. Higgins.
Okay.
All right. Then
James, take 24, my man.
then we have number 24, and this is the next trade of the night. Um, which is third, fourth of the night. I've lost count. So the Lions traded from number 29, giving up. So they got Dallas's first round 24, a 2025 seventh round selection for the number 29 pick and the number 73 pick.
Yeah, third round pick. It's kind of a lot to give up, but not the end
It's a
of the
lot to
world.
give up, and the Lions traded up to get Terry Arnold.
It was a big need for the Lions.
It's a
You know,
big
they
need for
did
the
they did make the
Lions.
trade for Carlton Davis, but still a huge need there. He was
What
sliding down the board. He was the number 11th ranked prospect.
It's a big need for the Lions. He's he slid down the board. I think they sniped him from Green Bay.
Okay.
I think I I really think Green Bay was targeting him they jumped ahead and got him. I think, and the thing I like, and we'll talk about this a little bit later too, is I think both teams got the player they want, were able to get the player they wanted in this trade. Arnold, who I think is going to be an excellent cornerback, and he last 2 years ago played alongside um, Brian Branch,
Oh yeah.
and I think he's in the division. I think he's a true number one cornerback, and that's what they need, especially with how many offensive weapons there are in their division. And I'm gonna the overall analysis that I read of this pick, and I don't know if I agree with this or not, but the underlying analysis of it was the pick might be even better than the Eagles getting Mitchell at 22.
Okay. So I mean, I like it.
It
And
would be better if the Lions hadn't traded up for him.
yeah, if it would have just fallen to him, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like the pick, and I'm very hopeful that he's going to be great, right? And I think that it's good that he's coming in, and he doesn't have to be the CB1 right out of the gate because we've got Carlton Davis. The one concern I had with him, and I don't have this in front of me, it was something that they put on the TV during the draft, is that they were saying he had a fairly low athleticism score, and that gave me bad memories of Tease Tabor, the dude we drafted out of Florida to play cornerback, and he never did shit for the Lions.
I
Uh,
don't even remember that name. I must have blocked that out.
yeah, good for you. I'm glad you did. And so I'm thinking that, I gotta believe we're not going to see that with Terry and Arnold, but I do have a little bit of nervousness just because of that. And so that is my only hesitancy with that pick, man. And
I
it's
hear.
another one of these where like Dallas Turner fell, and you're like, what's going on here? Tyrion Arnold falls, and it's like, what's going on here? We stopped the fall. Hopefully, we were right that he shouldn't have been falling. And maybe it's that athleticism score that other teams were looking at, and they were like, I don't know, man. So who knows? Hard to say.
Then we have the Packers, who I think the Lions sniped and confused the Packers or something because of who they picked. At number 25, they picked Jordan Morgan, uh, offensive tackle from Arizona. This is a what the fuck pick?
uh,
Yes, offensive
so
tackle was a
Yeah, so
need
he was the
for the
number
Packers.
40 ranked prospect, right? So you're
Yeah.
you're getting into this is like probably the first uh fairly decent reach, right?
So Tyler Guyton's still there, available there. Graham Barton is still there, available. Um, let me find some more players that are still available there that probably would have been better picks than this guy. Let me see. Offensive tackle, offensive offensive line. Okay. So I think that's about it. Those two players would have been better because Zach Frazier, I mean, that would have been a reach. The center, Powers Johnson would have been a reach at center. Um, Here's another thing. I thought cornerback was a need for the Packers. And yes, I will give you, we probably sniped Terry, the
Yeah,
guy that they
Cooper
were going to pick.
DeJean was still there, yep.
Cooper DeJean was still there,
And Nate Wiggins also, yep.
and Nate Wiggins. Yes. And Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they had some options if they wanted to go cornerback, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
they did lose a couple guys on the offensive line, and so I think that became a pressing need for them. And now there was better options. Jordan Morgan did start, I think, what did it say, 37 games at left tackle. And so I think something about that maybe was appealing to Green Bay is that he's seasoned. But I agree. I mean, hey, it's a bit of a reach here. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, man.
I'm going to say, okay, so he played 37 games, started 37 games at left tackle in college. Let me read you Graham Barton's pre-draft analysis. Graham
Yeah,
Barton started 34 games at left tackle in college. Oh
but
my
they're
God!
but they're projecting him as a center, and so you know, Green Bay
He is
obviously is thinking, hey, we want Morgan at tackle.
right. So, but Barton can play center, can play guard, can play tackle. He's a plug and play guy on that offensive line. He can play all three fucking positions. What the fuck are you thinking, Green Bay? Thank you for
Yeah,
picking the dumbass pick.
yeah. I mean, hey, I hope it doesn't work for him. Obviously. Uh, well, and here, just take the next one because now you got your guy getting picked.
Yes, he can play center, he can play guard, and I mean they have a short quarterback there at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, now he can play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, he he's going to start day one there
Yeah,
at one of those positions. Um, Tampa Bay was terrible at the pass block win rate last year. I'm sorry, they weren't terrible. They were 22nd in the league.
yeah. Yeah, and
Um,
their offensive line actually got a lot better from the year before, right? But they still have a lot of improvement to be done.
right, and they got their replacement for Ryan Johnson. All I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think it was a great pick for Tampa Bay. There's not much to say about it. You're building in the trenches. It was a good move, man. I like the pick. All right, 27, you've got Darius Robinson, the edge guy out of Missouri, going to Arizona. And it looks like it was part of a trade too here, James.
Yeah, it was, but I think this was well, just so Houston traded the first and third round, 27 and 90. So this was a pre-draft trade. So
Okay,
Houston traded first and third round, which was ended up being 27 and 90, and a 2023 first and second round, which was 12 and 33 in 2023, to Arizona in exchange for the Cardinals' 2023 first and fourth rounds. This was the draft night trade last year, which they picked up what's
gotcha.
his face? What's his name? I'm drawing a blank. The defensive lineman. Uh, number 3 pick overall last year. Oh,
You're talking
what's
about
his name?
Will Anderson?
Will Anderson. Thank you. This was this was part of the trade that allowed Houston to pick Will Anderson last year.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think Darius Robinson, they're saying this is another one of these guys that the athleticism score was low on, but he's a big edge guy. Um, and, you have a defensive minded head coach that's been feeding the offensive side of the ball. I like that he's getting somebody on his side of the ball now.
So I'm just going to say this. Ultimately, you got pieces in that trade. You could have had Will Anderson last year.
Coulda, woulda,
This
shoulda,
pick,
man.
this
Coulda,
pick
woulda,
at
shoulda.
this pick at this spot, okay, I like it. It's neat. Uh, maybe
Maybe
it's
just get it right the first time.
yeah, maybe just get it right the first time and not try to get fancy with it.
Okay.
And then we have this one was the next trade of the night, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start this off by saying, I told you Kansas City was drafting a wide receiver. Kansas City and Buffalo hooked up together, and Buffalo traded first and seventh round First, fourth, and seventh round pick, 28, 133, and 248 to Kansas City for Kansas City's first, third, and seventh round pick. That sounds familiar. So they swapped a fourth for a third, basically. 32nd, 95th, and 221. So they moved up a little bit here and there. For this, Kansas City moved up to number 28 to draft Xavier Worthy,
The burner.
the burner, pro comp, Deshaun Jackson. Let me see his analysis: speed, 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 speed. Sorry, that dude's fucking fast.
Yeah.
Dude is Tyreek Hill 2.0. Love the pick.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
Don't understand why Buffalo traded with Kansas City, but love the pick.
oh yeah, that's weird. So to me, it just was. I didn't feel like he was a number one wide receiver profile kind of guy, but I think he'll be just fine in that offense because they're going to dial up some plays for him to be a burner, which is what he is.
He fits in that offense. He fits with what Andy Reid likes to do. I will
Yeah,
say that
Deshaun Jackson was in the Andy Reid Philadelphia Eagles team.
I will say that he was probably. I'm just trying to glance. Yeah, probably the best receiver at this spot. Did they have to trade up for him? No.
No, I don't think they did.
Oh wait, maybe get ahead of San Francisco, but whatever. Trade. It's fine. It's it's not that bad of a pick. I like the fit. I knew they were going to go after a wide receiver, so it's a good pick. Holy shit! It's almost 7:30. All right. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys. This is they had traded with Detroit, as we talked about earlier, to trade back and get Tyler Guyton, who I think was the Cowboys' man all along. I give for the
Yeah, they
Cowboys,
got
I
him at a
give
better spot. Yeah.
they got him at a better spot. Yes, was it a little bit of a reach? Yes. Is he a little bit of a developmental project? Yes. Is he a phenomenal raw talent? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the 33rd overall prospect on Scouts Inc. I don't know if it was that much of a reach, man. I think it was worth it at this
I said
spot.
little bit
Okay,
of a
yeah.
reach.
I mean, the
Little bit of
dude's
a reach.
massive, man. At 6'8",
Yes.
it's freaking huge.
Yes. But he fit their most pressing need and they were
Yeah,
able to trade back, get some other picks for it.
yeah, definitely. I like the pick. I thought it was their top need with one of the best guys left available, and he's got a high ceiling for the future. There's nothing to balk at with that pick.
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking the pick. I like the pick. I just think that he is a little bit of a project. I'm not saying that it's a bad pick by
Yeah.
no means.
All right, so at 30, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking cornerback Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. Just right off the bat, I'll tell you, I liked the pick. I know you had a few cornerbacks here. You had Cooper DeJean, you had Kool-Aid McKinstry still out there, Nate Wiggins, all in the same sort of rating area.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore, I thought they maybe could have went after an interior offensive lineman here, or they could have also went after a wide receiver here. But I do like the cornerback pick. They're one of these teams that historically has had a very stacked secondary, and it's good to throw those darts and try to keep it that way. So I was okay with it, man. What'd you think?
I think you're kind of splitting hairs. Like as closely rated as these cornerbacks in this range, Cooper DeJean, not yeah, Cooper DeJean and Kool-Aid. Like you're talking about an 89 grade or a 90 grade. You're really splitting the hairs on
Yeah.
what you think fits your system better. Do I think Baltimore needed a cornerback? Yes. They're probably their two biggest needs was corner and offensive tackle. At this point in the draft, and then maybe wide receiver third. At this point in the draft, the offensive tackles that are available probably are a bit of a reach here. It's an important position, but a little bit of a reach here. Um, so, I mean, I like the pick for Baltimore. It fit a need, and I can't. I may have preferred Cooper DeJean above Wiggins, but I can't fault Baltimore for thinking Wiggins fit their system better.
I gotcha. Okay. All right, so we're getting down to it. At 31, we've got Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver from Florida, going to the San Francisco 49ers. What'd you think there, James?
Let me just take a look.
35th overall ranked prospect. You know, I thought that this could have been the writing on the wall of them making a trade with,
I think that's what I texted you. I said, well, they're trading Ayuk.
yeah,
I
it
was
seemed like this
certain
could
they
have
were
been the indicator for that. Yeah.
So you had Xavier Leggett still available, who was the number 5 ranked wide receiver on the board. You had Lad McConkey. You had Adonai Mitchell still available. Mm, I mean, it's a slight reach. Probably, it's more of a slot player, and he's kind of has a little bit of speed, so he will fit and be able to, he is the Ayuk replacement or
Yeah,
the
he's still
Deebo
an
Samuel.
insurance policy. Yeah.
He's still an insurance policy. It's I think I like the fit. I like a couple other wide receivers better than him, but I like the fit.
Yeah, I think that for me, I would have preferred to see them go after one of the cornerbacks available because it just seems like the 49ers always end up thin in the secondary. And, you know, they had sort of like their pick of the litter with some guys here, but I get it. You know, if Ayuk is maybe on the way out here at some point, you got to start backing him up. And, you know, I was okay with it.
And then we have the last trade of the night. The Carolina Panthers traded back into the first round with Buffalo. Buffalo gave the 32nd and 200th overall pick to the Panthers for the 33rd and 100 and 141st overall pick to make liars out of themselves and pick Xavier Leggett. I will explain that in a minute.
Okay.
In a minute. I like the fit. You got to give who the fuck's their bust at quarterback?
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. Some weapons. They made liars out of themselves because the story is they told Xavier Leggett they were picking him at 33.
Okay. So
They
they
picked
got
him
him.
at 32.
Yeah, just at 32.
You saw wide receivers.
Get that 5th-year option on him.
You get the 5th-year option, but you saw a couple wide receivers starting to go late in the first round. Wide receiver. I don't know why the fuck Buffalo is trading back and passing on these wide receivers because Buffalo needs, what do they need? Oh, they need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck Buffalo's doing, but good for Carolina. I like the fit. He was their player. They didn't give up much to move up the one spot to make sure they're able to pick him. They didn't have a first round pick, trade it back into the first round to get that 5th-year option. I like the fact that they have the 5th-year option on a wide receiver. So they're what's going to end up being their quarterback, obviously with Bryce Young, and their what's going to end up being their number one wide receiver down the line in Leggett both have 5th-year options on them to lock them up before they have to franchise them. If they would have waited for the second round and only had 4 years and not had the 5th-year option on Leggett, they would have ended up possibly having to make a decision if Leggett really works out on franchising Bryce Young or franchising Leggett.
Yep.
And that takes that decision out of it by having the 5th-year option. It's a second year. So if you have to franchise Bryce Young, you can work on that deal and you have that extra year with Leggett.
Yeah, a lot less pressure.
Yeah. And it takes the pressure off them.
Yeah.
I love trading back up into the first round for it. I think it's their guy. I like the pick. I thought he was probably it's right around the perfect range for them. Could he have been available at 33? Probably not. He was their guy. Go for it and get the 5th-year option.
I got you. Yeah, I liked it. Obviously one of their top needs, and I thought of the wide receivers left. He was one to me that seemed like he profiled as a potential wide receiver one. I don't know if it's right out of the gate, but it looks like he's got that kind of a ceiling. And so I think that that's what they need. And yeah, I mean, I like that they moved up to get the 5th-year option on him. I think you covered it well, man. All right. So that gets us through our first round recap, James. Let's go to our question of the week. And, just simply put, I want to ask you, what's your favorite pick from the first round?
Oh.
And, I mean, I'll go first while you think about it. To me, man, it's tough. We talked a little bit about this earlier. The Vikings getting Dallas Turner at 17, that to me was a steal. I really liked that pick there. I was expecting to see maybe some other teams jump up and try and get that guy. I was kind of hoping the Lions might have jumped up to get that guy. I'm bummed out he went to Minnesota, but I think it was a really, really good pick at that spot in the first round.
I'm going to go a little differently on that. Just because you picked Dallas Turner, I do. I think that's a phenomenal pick.
Bo Nix. What? You son of a bitch.
I've talked about this multiple times. I thought this player should go early, and there were multiple times I talked about it. I think he and plus the fact that this team is finally getting their heads out of their asses and drafting this clearly needed position on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of a retired quarterback that wishes they had drafted this position previously. I'm going to say Fontenot, who was drafted number 20 to Pittsburgh. We talked for years. They need offensive line. 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 They finally have gotten their heads out of their asses 2 years in a row, picked an offensive lineman, and his Fontenot's prospects for the offensive line. Wait, do you want to play left tackle? Sure, he can play left tackle. Do you want to play left guard? Yes, he can play left guard. Can he play center? Yes, he can play center. Can he play right guard? He can play all fucking 5 positions on the offensive line. He can fit wherever you need him and be a long time player there. He played 29 games at left tackle, 2 games at left guard for Washington while he was there. He's excellent in pass protection, and you can run behind him. Oh, wait, you have a running back. Now you hear it, short yardage. I love the player. I love the pick. I love the fact that Pittsburgh has gotten their heads out of their asses.
Yeah, I agree, man. That was it was a solid pick. for the Steelers. All right, yeah, not much to say about that. I do wonder why he didn't do the bench press. That's all I want to know. But everything says he's a pretty nasty blocker and should be amazing for them, man.
I'm going to say this is his. I'm going to just read his pre-draft analysis. He's tenacious drive blocker who teams could confidently run behind in short area situation. He has the range and reach. He has the range to reach second level defenders and the size to overwhelm defenders in space.
Yeah.
His body control and balance in pass protection is excellent. He also mirrors well when his footwork is sound, and he flashes the ability to recover when he gets caught out of position. He has long arms, bends well, and has a strong punch.
Yeah, sounds like what you want. All right, that's the question of the week. James, you got any closing thoughts, questions, concerns, comments, yada, yada, yada?
Seriously, why the fuck did Atlanta draft a quarterback in the top 10?
They screwed the pooch, man.
Like, what
they screwed the pooch. Yeah.
Why did they sign Cousins if they're going to draft a fucking quarterback?
No, they should have just fired that GM right there and been like, okay, you idiot, you clearly don't know what the hell you're doing. Even if he's great in 4 years, man, you didn't have to draft a guy now. You could have waited 3 years.
That's what you could have drafted a QB 3 years from now and still been fucking.
Yeah, you don't know who's going to be out there in 3 years. Yeah, poor Kirk Cousins. It's okay. He's getting paid a lot of money. He'll be fine.
Now I'm curious because I want to see. I had joked that the first 2025 mock draft was posted, and I just want to see who they have. What the fuck are the Giants doing?
What do they got them taking a quarterback?
They have the Giants trading up to get the #1 pick with Carolina for quarterback Carson Beck from Georgia.
Oh boy. Yes. Ooh, I just pulled up the Walter Football one. I like Walter Football. He's got however you say the dude's name, Shadur Sanders. What's that? Deion Sanders kid. He's got him going #1 overall.
Oh.
And then he's got the Giants taking Carson Beck. Ha. Oh, and he's got Arizona taking a quarterback at 3. See you later, Kyler Murray.
Who's the third quarterback? Quinn Ewers?
Drew Allar out of Penn State. Interesting.
This one has Pittsburgh taking Quinn Ewers at number 12 after Russell Wilson and Justin Fields don't work out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think anybody'd be surprised if they didn't work out.
And the number 12 pick, it's listed. He has them taking Ewers, and it says inconsistent with ball placement and downfield accuracy. What the?
Yeah.
Okay, I needed a laugh.
Yeah. Well, give him a year. Give him a year. See what it says then. All right, James. Let's wrap it up here, my man. I think anybody who's still watching, hopefully you liked the show. If you didn't, whatever, poop your pants. I don't really care. James, like always, man, it was a good time. I'll catch you later, bud.
All right, sounds good.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut, hut, hike.